Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. I hope you would be safe and sound inside your homes. Yesterday, results of class 10th were declared. 75% students qualified this exam. There was a 40% concession given to you because of pandemic, but you did better finally. Your students, 25% students did not qualify by some reasons. There is always ways for improvement. You must work hard and we will crack this examination easily next session, next coming examinations. Dear students, but you have to not lose your heart because such threats or such things happen in one's career. Dear students, the important thing is that you must work hard. Whether you met with a setback, but you have to work hard because work hard can take one's boat to the bank, and these meager things or these things happen in one's career. Dear students, yesterday a student called me. He is now in class 11th. He cracked the examinations just by today with a nice percentage 375 to make me learn the Parliament of India. Dear students, simply you have to keep in the mind that Parliament is the highest law-making body in the country. Simply, Parliament is the highest law-making body in the country. In case of states where state legislative assembly is there, that makes the laws for the state, and Parliament is the highest law-making body in the country. When we are talking about the Indian Parliament has two houses. That is the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. And Lok Sabha is also called the House of People, while Rajya Sabha is the upper house. It is the Council of States, or it represents states. Dear students, the maximum strength of Lok Sabha is 552, and some books mention it's 550, but but for only 543 seats elections are held. So there, it means there are 543 single member territorial constituencies for which the elections are held. But important thing is that the House of People, that is the lower house of the parliament, Lok Sabha, is directly elected by the people for the period of 5 years. Dear students, but you have to also keep in the mind the party which gains the majority in this election after 5 years, general elections we call them, forms the government because they choose their head, and the majority party choose their head, and head of that very party turns the prime minister because India has opted the parliamentary type of government. And another house is the Rajya Sabha. Its maximum strength is 250, and out of 250, 12 are nominated by the Indian president. The rest 238 are get elected by the members of state legislative assembly, and it's always indirect elections because there is no direct election. Our representatives get involved in the Rajya Sabha elections. Dear students, this house is representing the status, and this is a permanent house, and it never gets dissolved. One third of its members retire after every 2 years, and thus every member gets term of 6 years. They are students. So the Rajya Sabha as well as the Lok Sabha, these are the chambers of parliament or house of the parliament. They make laws for the countries, but there is a difference between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha in terms of elections. Lok Sabha is directly elected by the people for the period of 5 years. The Rajya Sabha is the representation of the states. It is there is indirect election. 238 gets elected, 12 gets nominated. It represents status, but both the houses frame the laws. Dear students, I am repeating the things. Parliament means the highest lawmaking body in the country. Indian Parliament, our Parliament, has two houses. One is the Lok Sabha and another the Rajya Sabha. The maximum strength of the Lok Sabha is 552, and some books say it is 550, and the elections are held for 543. That is 543. This is the single member constituency and people are directly involved in the Lok Sabha elections, and the party which gains the majority forms the government because India has opted the parliamentary government. Lok Sabha is more powerful than Rajya Sabha because it is the house that is directly elected by the people. And both the houses, whether it is the Rajya Sabha or it is the Lok Sabha, frames the laws for the country. But there is a difference. No money bill is introduced in Rajya Sabha. No money bill is introduced in Rajya Sabha. Money bills can be introduced only Lok Sabha. The bills that deal with income and expenditure are called money bills, and bill is initial form or rough form of the law. Dear students, rest of the bills can be introduced in either house of the parliament. So simply you have to keep in the mind that parliament is the highest law-making body in the country. It has two chambers, it has two houses. One is called the Lok Sabha, another the Rajya Sabha. Lok Sabha is called the lower house. Rajya Sabha is called the upper house. The strength of the Lok Sabha is 550, and people are directly involved there. The strength of the Rajya Sabha is 250. 12 are nominated by the president. Rest 238 gets elected by the representatives of the state assemblies. So there is a direct election for Lok Sabha and not direct election for the Rajya Sabha. So there is a difference, but both the chambers or both the houses frame laws for the entire country. Dear students, you have to keep in the mind that when general elections take place after 5 years for the Lok Sabha, the party that gains the majority choose their head, and head of that very party turns the prime minister, and prime minister is appointed by the president of India. And remember, India has opted the parliamentary type of government, and parliamentary type of government is that government where you find double set of executive. One executive is the nominal executive, another the real executive. Nominal executive means the president. All the powers are given in the name of president, but in real they are exercised by the Prime Minister of India. So the Lok Sabha election takes place after every 5 years, and the election is considered the soul and heart of the any democracy. In the Rajya Sabha, this is the permanent house. Remember, it's the permanent; it never gets dissolved. But the money bills cannot be introduced in the Rajya Sabha. Bill is initially a rough form of the law, and when it gets passed, it turns a law. Dear students, this is the brief introduction about the Indian Parliament, its houses, and we will discuss something more about the Indian Parliament in the next class. But the important thing is that you have to see these things on your available political science reference books so that you can grasp the concept well. Dear students, yes, the results of class 10th were declared. 75% students finally qualified, and 25% students who did not qualify by some reasons, but there are always ways for the improvement. You must not lose your heart. Do concentrate hard, do work hard, and you will crack these examinations in the coming examinations, in the coming examination session, which these examinations, final examinations, would be held shortly, and you would be also in class 11th. You must not lose your heart because such setbacks or such threats come in the one's career. Dear students, my prayers are with you. You have to work hard. You have to put extra efforts, and everything would be inshallah in your control. Thanks. Be blessed.